Welcome to the Total CEO Podcast. I'm Sharon Kuhn, and this is a podcast where science confirms how emotional insight, behavioral awareness, and strategic clarity drive executive presence. And my guest today is Dr. Victoria Durnell, and I am so thankful. Thank you so much, Victoria, Dr.
Thank
Durnell, for
you.
joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Sharon. This is so great.
It has been such a delight to spend time getting to know you. And
Yes, for sure.
I'm wondering today if you would speak with us about not only workforce strategy, but both the analytical and human awareness involved. Where did that integration begin for you, Victoria?
So for me, my career has been rooted in service. So I'm a servant community person. I do a lot of volunteering and mentoring. So that's the basis of me is to serve my community, to serve my country, to make Indiana number one. And so it starts there. And then from there, I always believe there's nothing you can't do. And so spreading that motivation has put me in the places that I've been in. And so believing in yourself, believing in the people around you, supporting them, it's just been a wonderful journey for me.
That is excellent. And from the first time we met, I have
Mhm.
appreciated your humility and your confidence and your impact. Those are the
Thank
three
you.
things I think of when I think of Victoria Durnell. I
Thank
think of
you.
the impact, the sensitivity, the confidence, and the humility. And I think those things are sometimes hard to marry.
They
And
are.
for that reason, I think we both bring a heart to organizational wellness and human systems. So let's talk about human systems within the workforce. In
Hmm.
your experience in organizational wellness, it isn't just policy, it's relationship.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering, what do you think leaders often miss about the emotional environment that people are working on inside their companies, their businesses, their organizations? These leaders may not, they may be very well intended and still missing the experience of their people on the job.
Oh, for sure, Sharon. One of the great misses for our leaders is they forgot how they got there. Those leaders, they are great at what they do. They're the masterminds of a lot of these organizations,
Mm,
the CEOs of, pretty much everything. They wear many hats. We see one, but they wear many hats. And I think the pressures of the workforce growing, I think, all the things that are going on, the ecosystems developing within your healthcare initiatives, your construction trades, the demands of just, balancing personalities and people. The CEO really, whether you see it or not, that CEO, that leader, that president, that VP, those people they touch all of that, and it impacts their decisions and daily behaviors. And it can be really easy to get tunnel vision and not only identify a behavior that can be modified or
yeah.
person in a wrong position, or even just seeing them, making people feel seen. Sometimes we have time constraints, and I think that's what a lot of leaders struggle with. And I'm going to give it the three things. I think number one, they kind of forgot their journey, and number two, time, and number three, the pressures of our ecosystems developing today. I think that that's really impacting our leadership decisions and their empathy towards their employees.
I would agree. And it's
Yeah,
those micro signals often, right?
for sure.
That if we can get back to how did I get here?
How did I get here?
And how are the things that I can show my employees? Because we know that it's within split seconds.
Hmm.
It's within
Hmm.
split seconds. And I really mean that like a hundredth of a second that someone is looking to you to interpret, you know, um, a connection. I
It's a
like to use
gift. It's a
it.
gift. I think a leader, I've worked with so many CEOs, presidents, vice presidents, and other leaders in those capacities. The ability to answer those questions and analyze data and come up with solutions in record time, or even be able to process over time what's needed to advance the initiative, is an incredible gift.
Mhm.
And along the way, I think people get forgot. I
Mhm.
think that's what
Yeah.
happens. And
Right.
we just
Right.
have to remind them. And that's what encouraged me to do the work that I do, to sit down with them and come up with systems where they show the empathy that's in them for their employees and
Mhm.
show the staff that they do care along the way. I mean, they don't have the time to sit with every individual person, but
Mhm.
I work with one CEO and he just had a weekly message. He had a weekly message that didn't identify in some story format a situation with an employee that turned itself around. Those motivational blurbs,
Mhm.
it reaches someone. And
Mhm.
so it's just little steps like that. If you do
Mhm.
nothing, nothing change. So you have
Mhm.
to do something. Even a small
Beautiful.
step is, a step towards advancement and change. So
Absolutely. And it
yeah, we have
starts with
to.
self-awareness, doesn't it? To say, wait,
Exactly.
how did I get
Exactly, because they
here?
don't know. A lot of them don't know. They're tunnel focused on the mission.
And
But the
I'm going to say for on their behalf that they
Mhm.
feel responsible. Man, oh man, the buck stops with them. There's literally something called the lead singer syndrome, and what we see is that when a
I
band
love
comes
that.
together, we talked about this when a band comes together, and they're just all kind of equal and they're playing together, right? But then they become big, and someone
Yep.
becomes the lead person and kind of the face of the organization. We know that, and this is in the work of Dr. Paul Zak, Trust Factor. And he
Mhm.
calls oxytocin, this bonding chemical, the moral molecule. And so
Yes,
what happens as stress goes up, cortisol goes up,
it does.
testosterone goes up, and the oxytocin of reading people and bonding with people and caring about being relational goes
Mhm.
down. So we need
Mhm.
to realize that our CEOs are under pressure. And our goal, right, is to help them understand self, not lose that ability to run that organization,
No, it's so
and
true.
yet to maintain or even increase their giftedness in reading their people and keeping both of those
It's
pedals to
the
those spears
ultimate
going.
balancing act. It's the
It is.
ultimate balancing act, and it's
Yeah.
kind of, like something I mentioned before. Those decisions impact the nervous systems of their employees. So
Hmm.
so those employees start to feel less confident. They
Hmm.
start to feel less trust. They
Yeah.
start to feel less seen. They start to feel less heard. And it's really not that. It's just the pressures
Yeah.
of the initiative of getting things done. And we
Absolutely.
just have to find, that's why mental health initiatives from these employers having, your on-site clinics, your virtual therapies is so important, because sometimes the therapy is discussing work, how to get through
Mhm.
it,
Yeah.
how to learn
Yeah.
how to have that balancing act that the
Yeah.
CEO seems to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
So it's so important.
And
Mental
I
health
feel like,
first aid. That's
and
what
what?
their mental health first aid. That's what
Okay.
they're having a lot of managers get, because managers have more direct contact with
Mhm.
employees, and that
Right.
helps them recognize the signs of stress.
Mhm.
And it's a call out for mental health first aid, where you need that walk, you need that break, you need to get off the screen. They have
Mhm.
to recognize those signs. And I love organizations that let their management get that certification. It's a probably a 1 day onliner, and you
Mhm.
learn a great deal
Mhm. That's
how to
beautiful.
properly manage your staff when it comes to mental health first aid.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
excellent because my work in emotional intelligence has shown me that if people do not understand their emotional self, then they are unconsciously disconnected from what's
correct.
driving their own behaviors and they can't read how they're impacting their teams. And then we've got the false harmony, which actually is a great segue.
Mhm,
If we talk now about leadership and human behavior, because
mhm,
we don't want our leadership to be judged or damned for running the organization with the hard skills, right? But we
mhm,
also don't want to leave them without a bridge for understanding their own human behavior within themselves and the behaviors of the team. In working with executives, I like to use the CEO acronym to mean connect, empathize, and optimize, so
I
that
love that.
those soft skills give their workplace that fuel it needs for the hard skills, right?
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
if we are not looking at the outcomes on a hard skill basis, we're running a shelter. We're not running a business. So to put the soft skills in a way that sets the teams up for these hard skills to be, so cohesive. If we've got the human beings being cohesive, we're going to have their hard skills cohesively driving the outcomes. So I'm wondering, like, what patterns do you notice in leaders who create thriving cultures versus leaders who unintentionally create chronic stress within teams? What is
So
to that?
thriving leaders tend to lead with clarity, consistency, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness.
Mhm. Bing.
They regulate themselves well. They communicate their expectations clearly. They listen and they create stability.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, leaders who unintentionally create stress often react inconsistent, unclear, emotionally disconnected. They operate from unresolved pressure themselves. So the culture is often like what I was speaking about. Is a reflection of the nervous system of leadership. The
Mhm.
teams absorb the emotional tone of the leaders in the organization, whether they acknowledge it or not. You can tell how an organization is ran by
Mhm.
the reaction of the staff, of those
Mhm.
employees, those people that you interact with every day. You can tell. So, if you have a leader who like I said is a thriving leader, he's connected with his employees. They're so happy to work there. They would come back there if they had a child or had a surgery, or they want to get back there because
Yeah.
they feel supported with that thriving leader.
Yeah.
They showed them they cared without even coming to their cube every day and say I care. But when
Yes.
you have that unintentional leader who is under pressure, the
Mhm.
staff feels pressure and there's quiet, there's silos.
Mhm.
I've talked to so many organizations about that, silos. Um, some of those unintentional leaders create the silos. They don't want
Yes.
those employees to interact. They just want that productivity. And you're going to check the box, but you're not going to get happiness and you're also not going to retain those employees. They're not going to stay. They're
Absolutely.
not going to stay.
We are built to bond, and if we bond well, we learn well, we work well. And it's
Yes.
fascinating to me that people often fall in love with a company, okay, at the
Mhm.
hiring process,
They
and they
do.
quickly fall out of love if the intentions that the company cares to embody but hasn't grown into their own embodiment of those intentions, then instead we have kind of like a reactive attachment to the organization, but we put this false face on. There's so
Mhm,
much in the science to show that this interior design is
mhm.
literally reacting and responding. I like to say that affect is the human being's primary language.
I
And
love
so
your interior design reference.
thank
I
you.
love that. I mean, I'm gonna raise my hand. You see the pretty website, you see the beautiful office, you see all the things. It looks so
Yeah.
great. The polished interview, the direct questions. You don't even wanna ask any questions because you go, "This is great." And then
Yeah.
you step that one baby toe in, and it's like, "What have I done? I should ask
Right.
more questions. I should have investigated
Right.
more." It
Right.
looks too good to be true. And then
Yeah.
that's what motivated me in my work as well, because they have all the things, they have all the facade, but what needs to happen now is the inner work,
Yes.
the work inside.
Right.
So the
Hmm.
exterior looks beautiful, but the
Hmm.
interior needs to match. And so
Absolutely.
for me, it's working with leadership to get it to match. So,
And it's not just about mental health, is it? It's so that we
no.
are actually bonding people. So I'm getting back to what you said a little bit ago, that they'll
Hmm.
want to come back, they'll want to stay, and they'll want to come back. And so this is
Yes,
HR, this is retention, and this is ROI. So if they initially get that excitement to work with us, because if
yes,
I'm a CEO and I'm under a lot of pressure and I have a potential new hire, I'm sort of in love with what they can bring to the organization for the growth of
exactly.
the organization. So there's
They
all this
check the boxes.
infatuation. It's
They
so
check
true.
all the boxes. They check all the
Yes.
boxes. Yeah,
Yep.
for
Yep.
sure.
And so I'm giving off this
Hmm.
warmth and this welcome, and it's not that I don't want to sustain that. I don't know the difference in my own self sometimes, right? Because now
Right.
my mind is back on the hard stuff that pays all my people. And I may love them. I may
Hmm.
deeply value or care, I have high regard for them. But if they see the hard part, the hard skill part of me, and not the soft skill part of me, they don't know me anymore.
That's
We,
why I use my Facebook reference and fake book. So it's kind of like the same way. So what do you put on your social media? Your best times, your best clothing, your best smile. You put your best foot forward, and people fall in love with that. They think that this is you every day. This is how you show up every time. That's your fake book. So when you when you really get to know that person, you see that they're just like you, that they have traumas, they have ups and downs, they have low self-esteem, they have low confidence, they need work, they want friends. So that's why they enticed you with their fake book. They lured you in with their fake book, and you go, this person is so great. I want to be connected. And
yeah.
you get connected and you go, whoa, this person needs work. And they may need more work than you, but you know,
And so, you know what? Let's kick this around a little bit, right? Like, why? I always love the why. Like, why does this happen? So, if we're looking at that nervous system and we're looking at
mhm,
people are shaped in the very human architecture, right? That it's
exactly.
their early years of wiring that they're bringing to your workplace every day, honestly. And
Mhm.
so, for us to build that self-awareness in to say, wow, is the fake part my intention? And then the real part where I don't know how to bridge my intention with my real confidence and my real self-esteem, well, let's build those bridges so that anything that's coming across as the best is something that we can authentically sustain or take ownership when we goof up and need a redo, right? And
So
that's the
yeah,
greatest
you're
leader.
right. You're right. It's like what I'm going to go back to every time. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I look at that situation as this is their desire.
Yes.
I don't look at it as a deception. I
Right.
look at
Yes.
it
Thank
this
you.
is their desire.
Yes.
So they are creating the life that they want. They
Yes.
don't know how to create it. That's where I come in, even as a friend, as a mentor, and a coach,
Yes.
because I see the desires of your heart. You want happy times. You
Right.
want friends. You
Right.
want to look your best. You want to do your best. You want to pursue your best. So
Hmm.
that is the point where you are an aid to someone. You have
Yes.
to figure out what that capacity is,
Yes.
or maybe it's hands off.
Yes. Yes. In our work, we call it a mirror. So we're
Yes,
mirroring this person, and they're like, whoa, whoa,
exactly.
whoa. Like every time I come to you, I have more of a mirror to sustain what I showed to my people. Good.
Yes,
I get to not just show it, but I'm learning I can actually be
yes,
this and sustain it. So let's talk about the nervous system for a minute and the brain for a minute, right? We
yes.
know that when people are affirming our unique identity, not our performance
Mhm,
as much as our identity, then
mhm.
the brain gets chemicals to sustain the performance that is authentic with that identity.
It
And that
does.
is so huge. And I know you
It's
do that.
huge. We
I
all
love it.
do. We
We should
all
just,
have done that,
yeah,
some
yeah,
people to the extreme, but it does. It affects your nervous system. It affects your performance. It's almost like you can align it with imposter syndrome as
yeah,
well,
right,
where they
right,
feel like they have to show up this kind of way.
right.
I have to be perfect.
Yeah.
I'm
But in the,
presenting perfect, but you don't, but I'm not.
right.
It's oh my
But
God.
in the, but in the presence of someone who's really present, the chemicals
Mhm.
change.
They do. They
In the
do.
presence of someone who's present, we
Mhm.
become felt, seen, and heard.
We
And the
do.
higher brain says, wow, in fact, the part of the brain that helps the whole brain work together up here over our right eyebrow comes
Mhm.
online. And I think
Mhm.
that's why we get so excited when we talk to each other because you're
We
present
do.
and I'm present. And then we just are like full throttle
You're
in
feeding off of
our
that person. You're
clarity.
feeding. Mhm. You're
Yes,
feeding off of 'em. It's like, I love her. She's igniting me. She's
yes,
igniting my dopamine. I'm like, "Oh my god. I wanna
yeah.
talk to her more. I wanna be around her more." So, yeah, for sure. For sure it
And
impacts the nervous system.
in those micro moments, there's
Mhm.
a new hire, or a a long-term employee with the boss. And if the boss has already done, if the CEO or the manager, whoever it is, has already done the work to be self-aware
Mhm.
without having to be conscious of it, their body signals, hey, the value of this person, not just the shiny new employee. Okay,
Mhm.
they're actually operating at a deeper level of valuing self, valuing others, and being present with those people.
Right.
I just
Right.
love that every human being is so capable of this, and we can
For
help
sure.
them have the tools to increase it. And I
We do.
appreciate your ability to see all that. So let's shift to learning and transformation. You know, adult
Yeah.
learning often fails when people are overwhelmed or disconnected. And my point in looking at this is that we want all employees to always be on a lifelong learning, um, track, whether or
Mhm.
not they ever want a different role in a company. Having more and more self-confidence, more and more capability to like lead laterally and maybe lead up and be leaders in their own space. And they may want to move up, and that's great. But how do you see creating environments where people feel safe enough to grow? Transformation is a word that lots of organizations are using, but
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
does authentic transformation look like in people and systems? I know we've already been touching on that.
Well, it's okay. It's
Roll with
fine.
it.
So
Yes.
so for me, I
Transformation.
focus heavy on relationships. So as we're talking about you and I and other people that I meet, I've been told in this city, I don't know a stranger because
No.
I find a commonality with every person that I meet. I think every relationship is valuable, which is why that's the thing that I have to work on. Everybody has to work. I have to work on my time because I want everybody to feel important. I want to meet everybody. I want to, engage with them and, so, I'm heavy on that. But for growth, you do have to focus on the relationship and trust and reducing fear. Adults learn best when they feel accepted and not rejected. That's very important. So it's really important to create environments where questions are welcome, where mistakes are normalized as part of growth, and make people feel psychologically safe enough to participate authentically. People grow when they feel supported, not shamed. So that is really important. So that's something. I mean, and
Huge.
what I feel is shameful. Like me, I like it direct. People probably can't tell because they think I come very jovial, but I like it direct. If you have
Hmm.
something to say to me, I need you to say it. I
Hmm.
don't need you to warm it up 7 times for me. I need you
Hmm.
to just tell me because I
Hmm.
don't like to be told 7 times. I just need to be told once.
And
I
then and then some people need to be warmed
Some
up and
people
treated a different
need to
way,
be warmed up.
right? But you're let
Exactly.
them know, like, that's not me. Here's me.
Make those questions welcome, make it safe to participate authentically, and make people not feel shamed because we don't know what their life was like prior to this work environment. We
Right.
have to create that area of reducing fear, not
I
reducing
love you bringing up
accountability.
fear.
That's
Mhm.
what that's the thing that I really want to stress. No way am I saying reduce accountability for people. People
Right.
know their
No.
jobs, they know what they're
Yeah.
supposed to do. It's
Hmm.
reducing fear because
Hmm.
when I make a mistake or an error, and I will, we all do. You have to
Absolutely.
reduce the fear to
Yeah.
bring that to the surface because
Yeah.
from fear could come more mistakes. There's a cover up. There's a
Yeah.
in evasiveness or they feel like they need to leave.
Yeah.
No. That's where you start to identify, is this person, needing more support? Is this person needing more clarity in the assignments? I mean,
Mhm.
you really have to invest in your people, and it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take long.
That's
A
so
good,
true.
it
Yeah,
is,
and when people use the tools to be self-aware, I
Mhm.
often will say, if you had to think about, this is going to tie in, hang in here with me. If you
That's
had to think
okay.
about If you had to think about how many times you step on the brake or step on the gas pedal to get to work, you'd have no idea. But by golly, your body knows. The
Goodbye.
unconscious mind, and let's get back to the nervous system, knows how to move through traffic, right? And
Right.
when we use the tools and we train people, they cognitively learn, but then they unconsciously embody what they're
Mhm.
trying to do. And
They
the
do.
body, in the presence of that long-term employee versus a shiny new hire versus someone who has
Right.
conflict with them in the moment,
Right.
they unconsciously, through that awareness, know how to move through the traffic of those kind of crucial conversations, right?
Mhm. I
And
love
so
that. You should read that book, Crucial
oh, I love
Conversation.
it. Oh, and I
Yeah.
love it.
Oh,
Start
yeah,
with heart,
okay.
right? It's yes, I buy it for people. I bought it for some of my,
I
my
have
clients
to.
for
I have
Christmas.
to, for sure. For
So
sure.
good. So, yeah, I love what you're saying because reducing fear, welcoming people to participate and to be authentic, that
Mhm.
means that as a CEO or as a leader, as a manager, as a supervisor, I've got to be ready for my own reactions,
Mhm.
responses, annoyances at someone's participation that might strike a not so pleasant chord in
Right.
me. And
Respect it rather than judged.
yes,
It
yes,
on both accords. If I respect my leader, I will be more comfortable, less fearful, and feel
yes,
less judged to come to them. And that spreads through the culture because
yes,
when people see that you're comfortable, then they go, "Oh, she was comfortable to go to the manager with this issue and work through it. She was
right.
comfortable to bring this to the CEO because it is important, and he listened and he didn't judge this person." It's important. That's how you develop your culture. I mean,
Absolutely. And
it is.
that's how you develop the people who develop your ROI, right?
Yes.
So it
See,
is
we're
all
we're
the,
there, Sharon. We're there.
but we get so much like eyes rolling if they can't put these together, which is what we do for them.
Yes.
So, systems and self-awareness.
Mhm.
So, do you believe that organizations can only evolve, or do you believe that organizations can only evolve to the level of self-awareness of their leadership? And you really alluded to that a few minutes ago, that,
Mhm.
leadership is either the ceiling constantly raising or the ceiling stuck or even lowering.
Right.
How do you help? I know you do. How do you personally help leaders recognize when operational problems are actually relational or cultural underneath?
So, to a large degree, yes. Leadership shapes culture. If leadership lacks self-awareness,
Mhm.
unresolved behaviors, eventually it'll show up in the organization through communication breakdown, turnover, disengagement, chronic stress. Operational issues are kind of like wearing hidden clothes. I mean, it's almost like it's there, but we want to pretend we don't see it,
Mhm.
but it's
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
So sometimes what appears to be like productivity or um, a productivity problem is actually a trust problem. So it's like it's wearing a mask. Yeah. So it's kind of like that.
Absolutely.
So what looks like resistance may be actually fear. Like confusion is lack of psychological safety.
Mhm.
So, that's where self-awareness of the leaders that are better equipped to identify the root causes of these problems and react to systems are better. That's why I say to a large degree, yes. So
Mhm.
for me, it's putting in place that mental health first aid. For
Mhm.
me, it's having those boot camps for leaders. For
Mhm.
me, it is coming in and doing a talk like this,
Mhm.
um, a motivational speak, or a camp of sort, or for the staff, where they
Mhm.
learn how to get their voices heard, align their positions properly, because you could come in an organization one way and this is not where you need to be. That's not your seat. It's not leaving the organization, but maybe I should be over here because I'm more drawn to this. I didn't know this role existed.
Hmm.
So leadership has to be aware that what they think may be a problem may not be a problem. It's
Well, I
wearing a different clothing. It's
yeah,
yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
what you said that productivity is often going to be a relational issue or a trust
It's a
issue or
trust
a fear
problem.
factor. Actually,
Hmm.
always, unless it's the actual equipment breaking down.
Yes.
If
Yes. Yep.
yes,
No,
yeah,
for
I
sure.
love that. That's excellent.
For
That's
sure.
so
Just,
good.
that's come out of experience and being in
Hmm.
HR and dealing with, those exit interviews or those meetings and, debriefing with those presidents, CEOs or superintendents, you know. It's definitely a trust problem,
Hmm.
you
And
know, and
what does it look like when trust is breaking down? Does anything come to mind as like an example? Some case
sometimes it
examples.
looks like defiance. Sometimes it looks like resistance. It looks like this person, what it is they're just reluctant to get involved. They're reluctant to share. They don't want to be on that team anymore. It's not them, it's just they don't trust. They
Mhm.
don't feel seen or heard in this organization. They don't feel like their give is good enough ever.
Mhm. And then if they begin to be seen in a way that ends up kind of blackballing them or they become a scapegoat,
Yeah, yeah.
right? That is one of the saddest things is
It
that
is.
now they're not known for who they really are. They're only known for a coping mechanism. And the
Exactly.
coping mechanism was really under the umbrella of leadership that intended well, but just didn't have eyes to see where it was a time to development, right? Some
Exactly. Those one-on-ones I've learned with a lot of organizations is a
yes.
big miss. Even the annual review, they're so forced in. They're scheduled tight, 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 back to back, and it's checking the box.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
got the form filled out. You filled out the form. You signed the form. I signed the form. I scored you this. What did you score yourself? Okay, is there anything you want to talk about? All right, yep. Okay, if you take this here, sign it. If you see
Right.
anything you want to revisit, schedule with me on another day. Now they're back to work.
Yeah.
They weren't
Yeah.
heard. They weren't seen. Nothing was acknowledged.
No.
He didn't tell me, anything about future goals, that I
Mhm.
did one thing right,
Mhm. And
where
what
I
that
can
leaves me
improve.
with,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
that leaves me with is maybe a worse place than before the conversation, because before the conversation, there's some hope of a connection. And if
hmm.
there are platitudes and a lack of connection, there's more disillusionment leaving that one-on-one.
No, that is
That's really
true. I think
dangerous.
a lot of staff build up. I've seen it, myself. They build up to their annual reviews or their one-on-ones. They want that connection time. They want to be able to say, "This is what I've been working on. This is what I'm doing," and they're hoping to get that validation in that 20 minutes of, "You're on track. You're doing great. I don't know what your plans are. We have these educational resources available, or you should look towards this, or." I don't know if you're happy where you are. You're doing great. You're killing it. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? What can we do to support you? Because sometimes it's those words. It's not you're horrible. This is the
Right.
worst hire. It's sometimes how can we support you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where
If
do
there
you see
needs to help them
yourself?
improve.
You
Right.
know.
Right.
Yeah,
That
and it,
growth
it might not
mindset.
be on the form, Sharon. It might not be on the form.
Right.
It's in your connection with
Mhm.
your employees.
Hmm. Hmm. And you know what? Again, it ties in with what you said earlier, which reminds me just of that growth mindset. And if they're
Hmm.
fearful, they can't take even those small risks at bettering self on job. We
For
can't take
sure.
those small risks if we're too fearful.
No, no,
Yeah.
we're not going to. We're not going
Right.
to. We're going to shrivel up and make ourselves small. That makes us not happy. That makes us be more resistant to projects and to sharing and to connecting. And it affects the nervous system, which affects performance, which affects everything. You start to dread to come to work. And all because you don't have a connection within your organization, which is the
Exactly.
easiest fix. Like you
Right.
said, we are born to do what?
Connect,
Bond
empathize,
and connect.
optimize.
Yes. That's what we're here to do. So if you go to a place where you spend 8 awake hours, 8 to 10 awake hours with zero connection, you are not going to survive.
Right.
you're going to be so miserable. And you're going to go home and be miserable. Your drive home is going to be miserable.
Right.
It's going to be miserable. If you spend the bulk of your day with this organization, you need to have some connection and some joy in your work or your relationships, your feedback.
Mhm.
Something needs to make you go, this is worth it. This
Absolutely.
is worth it for
Yes.
sure.
And the
So yeah,
right kind of connection. And Dr. Durnell, I'm going to say Dr. Durnell instead of Victoria because I'm going to shift for a minute
that's
into
okay.
education. And I'm just going to throw something out here about
Yeah.
education, right?
Let's
We
go.
know that in our schools, often, whether it's male or female, and we have more female teachers than male teachers in the
We
United States,
do. We
K through
do.
12, and
Hmm.
preschool through 12. And so a lot of times, because of the way it's set up, the only connection they get is drama. And I'm going to define drama here.
Hmm.
Drama being the emotional connection that actually is a stimulus that
Hmm.
distracts us from our need for authentic connection.
Hmm. For sure.
Okay. And
Hmm.
so when you say, these employees, if they don't have connection, but what if they have a drama as a connection? And so
Hmm.
then we know that that's going to be high cortisol. The body doesn't like it. The immune system crashes, right? And then we've got more FMLA. We've got like all that. So actually, I don't even know what just sprung that thought in my mind right here, but oh yeah, just the connection
It is.
that.
I mean, the male teachers, you're looking at probably 15 to 1 in a school building, in an elementary school building. I'll go 15 to 1. In a high school building, you're probably going 10 to 1, male, female. And a lot of males, they don't need a lot, well, not a lot of males, all males. They don't need the extra words. Men like the short of the short. And
Okay.
so that is interpreted as drama a lot of times. It's,
Oh my
it's
goodness. The
interpreted as drama.
misinterpretation.
So
It is.
I say they work in silos. So if you look at your male teachers, they're not even bonding with other male teachers a lot of times. In leadership they are. Your principals, who's usually a male, your assistant principal, usually a male, and another person in that leadership is either male or female. They're bonding because they're on a small island of leadership alone. But the teachers are on silos. That male
Oh,
teacher is like, oh, I'm on a team with 5 females. They're going to decide what to do anyway. So I'll just go along with it. He's not happy with that, but he's just like, I don't want the drama. I don't want the,
and
and that's how he's interpreting it. Instead
and
of
our
it,
children inherit a missing piece where
mm-hmm,
human connection isn't giving that bond for
mm-hmm,
learning, right? For
right,
success.
right,
They're trying to cognitively perform. They're
mm-hmm,
not bonding for that performance to be integrated.
exactly.
The
And
integration isn't there. That
it's
that
not.
is just heart just yeah, that's
And
that's
that's
very
why,
scary.
these initiatives and those one-on-ones that I mentioned, things
Mhm.
have to be individualized. I am
Yes.
not going to respond to some, I can understand what's being told to Sharon. I can read her book and think it's amazing. Would I have wrote the book the same way? Not at all. So it's an individual approach to the same problem. When you go back
Yeah.
to it, it all leads back to fear. It all leads it back to, problem solving, trust.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
all leads back to that, but it's an individual approach. We have to have those moments. We have to have those connections. If you see a child standing in the hall by themselves, sitting on their books, looking sad, is it something you make a mental note of? I would as a teacher. I make a mental note. I see Sally is always by herself, or not always. I see her today by herself. I might look for her over the next week,
Mhm.
but I have to give her a connection at some point.
Mhm.
Hey, are you
Right.
okay? What's going on with you today? You having a good day?
Yeah.
And then they stop and they that might be the connection they need, that 5 seconds.
Right.
You might
Yeah.
connect with them later, but
Yeah.
we have to outreach the arm to get the
Mhm.
result we want.
Mhm.
That student might be in a sunken place,
That's right.
and
And
that
for us to
brief
say, is it
connection,
a good or bad day today, right?
we
And give
don't
them that
know.
that authentic space to share.
We
Absolutely.
do. Mental health first aid. I'm telling you, it's social
And getting
workers are
that.
taking it. It's really recognizing the signs. That's really what we're doing. Recognizing the signs in small remedies. Small remedies. You don't have to write someone into a performance plan or do anything like that to get the result. It's just small things that add up to big results. That's
Absolutely.
usually what it is. So,
This human piece is so much
mhm.
simpler then we make it. And if we catch it early, kids don't need medicated by the fifth
They
grade.
don't. They
Oh
don't.
my gosh, if we
They
catch it early and if we
don't.
understand these things and how fast they work in the nervous system, it's within a couple hundredths of a second that someone recognizes that you
Mhm.
care, right? And that
And help
changes.
instill regulators. Help
Absolutely.
instill regulators because a lot of kids don't know how to regulate. A lot of people don't know how to regulate because no one took the time to go, when this happens to you, you might need to step outside that situation and breathe. You may
Yes.
need to draw a boundary and go, I and acknowledge them. I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're asking me. I'm not prepared to give you an answer at this point, but I do acknowledge that you asked me that question, but I'm going to need a moment. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes that can stop a layer of anxiety, of stress, taking the moment that you demand.
Yes.
Protecting your peace, protecting yourself is very
Yeah.
important. Even at work,
Hmm.
you can get
Yeah.
stockpiled with 8 assignment emails back to
Yeah.
back to back to back to back.
Right.
Well, yeah, you got to stop and you got to prioritize those things. Some of those things may not be for you. Some of those emails might just be we just want to let you know, but
Hmm.
it can cause a level of stress. So
Hmm.
you have to put systems in place where you go, I check my emails first thing in the morning, right before
Hmm.
lunch, and at the end of the day,
Hmm.
and prioritize those, because if you are on it every second, you're one, not going to get anything accomplished. Two,
Hmm.
you're going to dive deeper into things that you don't really need to get involved in.
Hmm.
And your cortisol levels, your stress levels, you're involved. I mean, just so many things are going to happen to you. So, we have to be the protectors of our peace. We have to, have a culture where that's okay to schedule those things, and that it's okay, you know,
Absolutely. The protectors of our peace means we've got to have
protectors of our
self-awareness.
peace.
We
Yep.
can't we can't protect what we're not aware of. So it all comes
Exactly.
back to awareness.
It does.
I love what you're saying. Just love this.
For sure.
Now, Dr. Durnell, you've continued expanding your education and influence over time. What continues to drive your desire to grow?
So for me, I mean, I know it's a cliche thing, but I and always will be a lifelong learner. I make it a point to learn something every day. I read 10 pages of a book every day. I get up and start my morning with intention and gratitude. I mean, I have my systems in place for myself. But as I learn more about people and about systems and workforce and what our world needs, it requires me to study more. It requires me to learn
Yes.
more. And
Yes.
so I am continuously motivated to dive into more theories, more different modalities across health
Yes.
sciences and psychology to learn what
Mhm.
is needed. It's
Mhm.
not a one size fit all world.
No,
It is
no,
not. And for
no.
me, I feel like as long as I have the capacity for it and it's
Yeah,
something that ignites my fire, I'm going to continue to do it. So it's
absolutely.
just like now my doctoral studies, I I spend a lot of time with 18 through 25-year-olds. And so I want to know what things motivate them,
Hmm.
what health literacy
Hmm.
keeps them in their collegiate programs or in
Hmm.
their certification programs, what things make them want to do it, where do they want their future to go, and also giving them the tools to decide.
Hmm.
Because a lot of the kids I work with don't come from college degree
Hmm.
homes. They don't come from two-parent homes. They don't come from, the cookie cutter situation. But I feel like it's my mission and goal to not only show them the example of myself to get the highest education as a doctor that you can get if you want that,
Hmm.
but also to invest in yourself in whatever trade skill, entrepreneurship, whatever you decide to do, be the best at it.
Yeah,
Be the best at it for you, not the best at
their
it for what the
personal
world
best.
say, for
Yeah,
yourself. And that's
yeah.
what I motivate to do. I want you to be the best you.
And I'm
You can do
hearing
it.
that's the legacy that you leave. Do you want
Yes,
to
for
speak to
sure.
that as a legacy? Like, how does that impact the world as a legacy? Like, I'm, earlier when you were talking, I was thinking, yes, all of that. And
Mhm,
that's not just for the workplace and that person. It's really
mhm,
for community and the ripple effects the community have overall. And, serving our communities and serving our country. Um,
mhm.
that's a beautiful legacy you're talking about.
I think so. I mean, and it's natural to me. So what comes natural to me may not come natural to someone else. But like I said, I'm rooted in community. I'm rooted in service. And I was raised to put my best foot forward. I came from a mom and dad that said, not that I could do everything and I could do anything. And so that's how I approach everything.
Mhm,
They told me that, I was never told you cannot do that. You
mhm,
cannot be that. You're make yourself small. I never felt that growing up. I always felt I had wings. I
mhm.
just needed to expand them. And so I want our youth to know because the world needs them right now.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to a lot of health careers currently. 2030, we're going to be so impacted with retirement from a lot of doctors because after the pandemic, these people have taken this last decade to plan that they're going to enjoy some life and be done, or
Mhm,
they were done shortly thereafter and change career fields or what have you. So I'm trying to show them the need that we have for health careers
mhm,
in a different way, because
mhm.
now we're more
Yeah,
mental focus,
right.
mental health focus, and who knows it better than them?
Yeah.
I mean, dealing with technology the way that they do and social media and FOMO and, fear of missing out and all the things.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some smart cookies. They just need to be told that they are and that they can
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. 18 through 25 for
And
sure.
I can speak for our workforce that came out of having wings clipped early, being told they were nothing.
Hmm.
You're sort of a ne'er-do-well. That was sort of the old language. So
It was.
in my work with people, I would say 35 to 85.
Mm,
Some of my retired Vietnam vets and, these people, I mean, they grew up with the thing that was, be seen and not be seen, not heard.
heard. Yep.
And it was
Hmm.
all performance.
Hmm.
And
And there
what
was a
we're trying,
traditional route for women. There was a
right.
traditional route for women.
Yes. And so what we're trying to like bridge is this divide between the industrial revolution and now
Hmm.
a new evolution of understanding the emotional component. Not
God,
just when
yes.
we say mental, we're both meaning not cognitive as much as the emotional and cognitive
Hmm.
going
Yes.
together. And we want our
Yes.
18 to 25-year-olds and those ahead of them so that we have this transgenerational connection of emotionally understanding one another and interpreting the value and
Hmm.
mirroring to our at-risk people groups of any age, but
Yes.
especially our 18 to 25, as they're
Mhm.
the most either ready to fly like your parents gave you, up, up,
Mhm.
up, or at risk
At
and
risk.
needing the legacy that you're talking about. I
Mhm.
I love that you received what you received and that
I
you
was
are
blessed. I tell people all the time, I never bragged. I was blessed to have
it,
people pour into me. My mom came from she is 12, a family of 12. So I had 5 aunts and 6 uncles that always thought I was the greatest. I was the greatest kid. Nobody gets a cheering section bigger than I grew up with.
oh,
So
that's
I
amazing.
was blessed, so with that, I just think that the youth today just need to know they have somewhere to turn. You know,
Yes.
if you don't like the situation you're in, there's baby steps to changing.
Absolutely.
There's baby steps.
Baby,
Just take one step.
baby steps to connecting with your full talent potential, your full
For sure,
emotional potential.
for
So
sure.
yeah, my last thought would be, or my last question could be, Victoria, if we could encourage leaders to rethink one thing about work life and
Mhm.
workplace well-being and human development, what would that be? And what does healthy leadership look like to you now? Of course, you're evolving. We're going to do another podcast, I know, because it's just too rich and it's all
Oh,
evolving.
for sure. I
But
want to bring
yeah,
you back some gems for sure. So one thing I really emphasize to leaders is um, leadership is more than titles and accomplishments. You can be a leader in your cube. You can be a leader on your team. You can be the leader of the company, but leadership is more than that. Teams are more than that. Um, I hope that people that I encounter I hope they feel encouraged. I want them to feel valued and challenged to grow. And that's what I impose upon those leaders. I want them to make their staff feel that,
Mhm.
because you're going to get a lot more bees and a lot more productivity when you have those things in place. You want to be an encouraging and accepting and an organization that reminds people about their potential.
Yeah.
I really want to encourage leaders to do that. And like I said, it can be in small doses. It can
Mhm.
be in small doses. You don't have to shut down the company to let
Right.
everybody know how valued they are and how, because they're part of your success.
Mhm.
They're part of
Yeah.
everybody's a leader. I just look at that. Everybody has the ability to lead. You
Mhm.
might have a main person who has
Mhm.
that title and those accomplishments, but
Mhm.
everybody has the ability to lead what they do, and everybody should feel valued in what they do. And
Absolutely.
so that's what I encourage our leaders to do.
And you
Do
have us, and that goes along with a saying that I just love that you always encapsulate with
Yes.
this saying. Do you want to share that thought? Because I love about perspectives.
Oh, I always say if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's what changed my life. So even with having cheerleaders, even with having whatever, you still are of the world. You still are going to encounter those naysayers. You're still going to encounter people that try to block your blessings or bring you down. And so you can get on that plane. I've buckled up and got in the box with somebody who was like, in a bad way. And I'm like, I'm in this box with you. We're both, seeing the negative. But then something in my brain clicked and said, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel good. And that's when I came across that. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And if you see yourself in greatness,
Mhm.
if you project yourself in greatness, if you visualize yourself doing what you want to do, it's going to come to fruition.
Mhm.
It does. I mean, I went from switching careers to going, oh, I'm going to get a new bachelor. I'm going to get a new bachelor and do this career. And as I got more engulfed into the field, I said, wow, what about this? I see myself doing this. This is where my joy is. I'm going to do the next thing. And then I went to the master's and I said, hmm, this is really good. This is good stuff. I got
Mhm.
more in the tank. I got more in the tank. And I said, now it's time to specialize. What is the overall goal of what you want to do? What is your impact to the world and to the community that you
Yeah.
serve? And that's how I got to the doctor, because I said, I am going to impact that workforce community. I'm going to expose the needs that our community country has for college and career readiness. And I found an identified group of 18 to 25-year olds.
Mhm.
They need me. And guess
Yeah,
what? I need them.
we do. I
I say
love
it right
that.
back to them. I need them too. I need them to see their potential, and I need them to apply their own kind of pressure. I need them to go, I am great and I can do it. I see myself here and I can do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I'm here to support them. I'm
Yeah.
your cheerleader. I'm your cheerleader. Call me.
And
So
that's so much satisfaction,
it
isn't
does.
it?
It
It's
does.
so much satisfaction. It's
I
so we
walk
can
in every
understand.
room that way, Sharon. Like I have a meeting after I talk to you. When I walk in the room, I probably know two people out of the 20, but I'm
Yeah.
going to speak to every one of them. I'm
Yeah.
going to learn a little something about every person in the room,
Yeah.
even if it's less than five
Yeah.
minutes. But
Yes.
that's who I am, because I want them to know that they're heard and they're valued, and we're glad they're there. And
Yes.
it's just what we do. And you can
Beautiful.
reach out to me. I may not have all the answers, but I always tell people I'm the person that brings everybody to the sandbox.
You
I
are.
like to know who does what so I can get you
Yeah.
guys together to play.
Yeah. And
So
I know that you do that. I know that you do
that's what
that.
I do. So I bring you. I'm the gym teacher, I guess, because I'm bringing you all to the playground, and I know all your gifts and talents, and I'm going to put you with somebody that you guys can make a difference and grow the initiative. So
Make a
that's what we
difference
do.
and grow
That's
the
what we do.
initiative.
Hmm.
Beautiful.
For
Well,
sure.
thank you so much for joining me. I know that our audience has so many bits that they just grabbed from the things that you've shared.
For
And
sure.
as always, that your energy is contagious. So
Oh, thank you. Same
thank
for
you.
you. I enjoyed talking to you, and thank you for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining me on the Total CEO podcast.